何言わずに咲くやこの花冬ごもり今を春べと咲くや
Hey guys, how you doing? Will Salas back at you with the Golden State Gaming Network. I am doing another Kickstarting success. This one's a little bit more interesting. It's actually, we've gone international with this one. I've got a guest from Australia, although I have a feeling he's not Australian. So I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself and tell you a little bit about his Kickstarter, and then we'll go from there.
Right, thank you very much, Billy. Thank you for having me. I know it's nighttime already in America, but here is just about, it's getting close to 5 o'clock now. Yeah, thank you for having me. Anyway.
No problem. So you are doing your Kickstarter. It's for a card game, but it's not like a typical card game as most Americans, or I think most people outside of Japan would realize it. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about it, and then give us a little bit of a descriptor and what people would find interesting about it, or one of the things that makes it unique to the international audience.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, my card game is a bit unusual for the other people. It's called Kyogi Karuta, and it's a quite popular game in Japan. And I just have some card samples for the real Kyogi Karuta look like. So it's different from the other games like playing cards. We just use those cards. So the cards are something like this. Can you actually see the cards well?
Yeah, and they focus pretty nice.
Yeah, so what they're going to do is they're going to put this type of cards. There are actually 100 of them. And then they pick up, so it's actually a one-on-one game. And each player pick up 25 cards out of 100 randomly, and then place them on the floor. And so the rest of the cards is going to be dead cards, not going to use in the game. And there's a reciter. Reciter is going to read this part of it's actually a poem. So there are 100 old poems. The oldest one is probably roughly about 1,000 years ago one. And the reciter reads the poem. And as soon as the player hears the poem, they're going to find matching card and then swipe or touch the card as soon as possible. So the person who actually swipe or touch the card is going to get one. So the winner is going to be the one who clear their the territory. So I'm a Japanese teacher in Melbourne, so I thought this is a quite unique game and quite interesting for my students. So when I'm actually looking at some games, it's actually got the inspiration from Japanese manga anime. It's called Chihaya Furu, something like this. I thought it's a very quite girl type manga at first. So I thought, oh, boys not gonna enjoy reading the comic books first. But when I actually start reading, I couldn't stop reading because it's too interesting and a more like sports type game. So I thought, oh, it's gonna be a great idea. So I can actually introduce game to my students. But it's too hard for my students because they just started learning Japanese 3 years ago, and they don't know lots of ideas. So I thought I could modify games. So because students just study 50 minutes a week, so it's not enough. So I thought just using words, but I have to put some ideas of Kyogi Karuta, so the competitive card game, because it's quite unique and quite interesting. So what I made was, this is actually the box of the card game I made. And I asked the Melbourne-based artist, the Japanese artist, to draw a picture like this, and also the card. So in real Kyogi Karuta, so competitive card game, they actually use the picture card for the reciter, and then the word card, so that's only the word ones for the players. But my ones, it's just opposite. So the reciter is going to read this one, and player is going to see the words and the pictures, and then they find the matching cards and swipe or touch them in the game. But I asked the professional reciter, so the competitive Karuta reciter in Japan last year, and then record her voice. So you don't need to worry about these Japanese letters, because if you actually get the card like this, you're going to get the audio files as well. So I tried this one for the last 2 years in my lessons, and lots of students actually loved playing the game. They're still talking about this one. So I thought, oh, it's going to be a great idea, not just for my students, but also all the people who are especially studying Japanese or who love Japanese things to the world. So that's actually the start. So yeah, and I talked about my idea to my friend, teacher friend, and she just suggested me to use Kickstarter. So that's actually the first time I heard about Kickstarter. Yeah, so there are lots of things happening, and I have to learn lots of things. Especially, I'm a teacher. I haven't done any, sales or something. So yeah, still learning lots of things.
There is a learning curve when it comes to Kickstarter. I don't think a lot of people get into it and they don't realize how much of a learning curve there actually is.
Yeah, that's right.
So you are. I looked into this. You did a Kickstarter before that I backed, and it wasn't a successful Kickstarter. But I did look into the game, and the original iteration of the game is very serious in Japan. There's leagues, there's whole
that's right,
dedicated to it. It's not a very I want to say it's not taken lightly. It's something that takes a lot of dedication. There's people that actually train for it and practice quite regularly. It's quite, almost a sport. And with the amount of dedication and passion. So it's almost like you're inviting non-native Japanese people and kind of to take a look, a sort of a lightened glimpse into this very serious, very intense game that goes on in Japan.
Yeah. There are more than 1 million people playing competitive card game in Japan. And the youngest one is probably 3 or 4 years old. And the oldest one is up to 70 or 80 years old. And probably the high school and universities, they have Kyogi Karuta, so competitive card game clubs, and they compete each other.
Yeah, so it's really interesting, the amount of information. There's actually quite a lot of information on YouTube. I'm not telling you guys to skip my channel and to go somewhere else, because all 5 of you that watch these videos are really good for me. But there is quite a lot of information on YouTube about the origins of the card game, which is really fascinating, and it kind of the origins of basically how playing cards in themselves got introduced into Japan, based on the different visitors and traders that tried to infiltrate into Japan as the history progressed and Japan started to open up more internationally way back when. So Karuta actually means something specific, doesn't it?
Yeah, Karuta.
Translation.
Yeah, it's actually card, but the word came from Portuguese. So it's not actually Japanese. Yeah.
It's more of a, you want to say, mangled Portuguese word for cards, for carta.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how it's almost like it's coming full circle now. It was internationally introduced into Japan, and then you're reintroducing the Japanese iteration out to the world, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a history itself. It's about 100 years or something. Yeah. So after the card game, which is imported from Portuguese, that was quite a long time ago. But Kyogi Karuta, competitive Karuta itself, was actually started about 100 years ago.
So there's quite a bit of history. Now, when you came up with the different designs for the cards, and the audio guys, by the way, I'm going to actually, if I can have your permission, when we upload this online tomorrow, I'd like your permission to upload some of the audio file as the intro to the video so people can kind of get a feel. It's very beautiful, the way that it's made and the way it comes out. The quality of the audio is really nice, so I think you guys would enjoy that. Now, when you came up with the design for the cards and the layout, did you just stick to the traditional Karuta style?
At first, when I actually met the artist whose name is Toshi, so he's the Melbourne-based artist. He have published 4 or 5 children books in Japan, and I showed him these real competitive card games cards, and I asked him to draw something like this, and then because he's an artist and he was just think about what sort of colors he can use, and then the cards, I want those cards last long time, not just for the 3 or 4 years time. So he actually chose not the bright colors. So he drew pictures quite well, I think.
Yeah, it almost the design, the way he did it, it's a very whimsical. And it's very the way that he colored them in. And he sent me. I've got a set of these, but the way that they're colored is very reminiscent of almost a watercolor kind of design. Yeah,
and he used watercolors.
It's very. Oh, he did use watercolors. Yeah,
and then he scanned them all in the computer, and then I think use a little bit digital
enhancement.
Yeah.
So, see, guys, I that semester of art school came in handy. I recognized watercolors. But and then the rest of the cards it's a very high quality card. It's a very thick card stock. This will definitely last, especially when you're swiping back and forth. So, as Kaz was saying, it is a 2-player game. Well, 3 players if you want to involve a caller. What we did is he sent me the English translations for all the cards. So what we did, we were at a convention not too long ago up in San Francisco, or just outside of San Francisco, and it was a really big gaming convention that I'd never been to, but I decided to go ahead and take over some space on my own, and we actually briefly had a couple quick rounds of it and kind of got people engaged. But I was actually the caller, and we played a little bit with it, and we kind of made up rhymes as we went and just had fun with it. And it also helped that a lot of these people were just into the whole aspect of playing something that is as authentically Japanese as you can get without being in Japan. So it was a lot of fun for them. Hopefully they're backers now. But it is a lot of fun, and these sets of cards, the authentic versions of Karuta, the Japanese ones, come in a wide variety of styles and colors too. I think you can actually get gold foil cards that are handmade to some degree. So the box that you get, and this is the finished box, right? The prototype box that I have is essentially the finished box. So I'm going to try and get this to show up. My camera's acting a little bit wonky, but the box is nice and easy, and it's something interesting that you don't get out of a lot of tuck boxes for card games. It actually opens so that you can slide the cards in and out easily and not have to worry about reaching in or bending the cards as you pull them out. So it was really well designed. Now, did you do this design purposefully, or was this just something that came to you?
The company I asked to make the Karuta is the company which makes the real competitive Karuta, Kyogi Karuta. So they actually have lots of knowledge. So I have here the boxes. And for example, you actually see the same type of box. So this is the original ones they use. So this is the original box. Okay. And this is also opened from the side. So I asked the company to make the same type. So it was quite easy to get cars. So I like to know this type of, a smart way to open box.
Yeah, it's really great because you don't get other games. a lot of other games that you get, especially off Kickstarter, you will either get a box that is way too big for what you're getting, or you'll get a box that's a stock box and it's kind of odd shaped for the components. Nothing really fits, and there's not a whole lot of thought into it other than they needed a box, they needed it quickly, and needed it cheaply. But as you guys can see, I actually put all the cards back in, and it closes up nicely. The cards all fit in here. They don't shift around too much. They don't mix. One of the interesting things is you numbered the cards and on both decks, which made it really easy for me because I'm neurotic and I had to put them back in order numerically or I wasn't going to be happy with it. So that was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, even for me, when I actually put the cards back together, yes, I actually see the numbers.
Yeah. Oh, give me just a second. My TV magically turned on right now, and I have no idea what the heck is going on. The joys of doing live recording. I have no idea why that happened, because I'm the only one up right now. All right. Where were we? Okay, so yeah, I had to put the box. I actually ordered. I have a friend whose brother lives in Japan right now doing some audio work for some company, but he actually sent me some lower quality Karuta cards. They actually come in a different box. They come more in. It's a longer, flatter box, more rectangular.
Yeah, that's right.
But he sent me those, and they are more. I guess the way he explained it was that's basically the cards that you get preschoolers involved when the little younger kids when they first start, because it's mostly based on pictures more than the actual the words in the poems themselves. So
yeah, usually in Japan there are many types of karuta, and then they use old sayings or something like this, so not suitable for Japanese learners or overseas people. And the great thing of this card is, as you see, the thickness of the card. I think you mentioned already, but this is very important. Yeah, if the card is not thick enough, you cannot swipe or you cannot touch. You can still touch, but you cannot swipe. Even you swipe the card's actually, if the card is too thin, it remains the same place. So your competitors actually get the card.
So when he talks about swiping, guys, he's not talking about you're lightly just, you're literally reaching across to swipe the card out from in front of the other player, and you're essentially clearing the field you're trying to clear your field as fast as possible. You're trying to get the cards away from them. And you can tap, but a lot of people get really into the reaching across and swiping just because it's such a fast moment. You're trying to be quicker than the other player that you don't want them to just slide their hand in. So you're trying to be way faster than they are, and it lends itself to swiping very dramatically, and the cards go flying across the room. And if you do it on a rug, they slide nice and easy. Same thing with a wooden floor. If you do it across anything else, it's a little bit tricky. But the thickness of the cards is very important, which is really one of the cool things about this Kickstarter. And we haven't really talked about the Kickstarter per se. We've talked about the game itself. But one of the things that I know is mentioned briefly, but I kind of wish you would have gone into it more, is the overall quality of the cards, because that you can't just have just a plain old deck of cards, like you would play poker or any other game with. You could, but they're not going to last, because what you're going to put these cards through is going to be a great deal of heavy moving and touching. They're not going to sit there in your hand and you're just going to put one down or pick one up. You're literally going to be moving cards across the floor. So it's really good though. But let's go through the Kickstarter now. We are at, I say we because I'm just really invested. We are at 4,200, or just over 4,200. There's 11 days to go, and your goal is set at 7,200.
Yeah.
And that's in US dollars, not in Australian.
Yep. And then this morning I actually got 2 extra backers. So yeah, it's now currently 96 backers. So it's getting
wow.
closer to 100.
Yeah, which is great. And I just actually logged into my Kickstarter, and all of a sudden it's reminding me that I haven't done a bunch of my backer surveys. So, oh, wrong one. I'm actually going to your previous Kickstarter actually came up for some reason. I have no idea why. You did hit that $9,000 goal, so you went above what your current goal is now significantly. But your original target goal was significantly higher. For that original
because I wanted to make about 500 to 1,000 sets. So I wanted to spread, or I wanted to send lots of Karuta sets to all over the world. But yeah, I thought that's too high, and so I just need to go back to the reality. So I think this time's just setting the lower goal. That's gonna be the more like realistic, and then hopefully going to meet the Kickstarter goal soon.
Yeah. So your new goal is just under half of what your original goal was.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at it correctly. Now, what a lot of Kickstarter creators have done, which is something that kind of rubs me the wrong way, is they launch a Kickstarter, it fails, and then they drop their pledge goal to something really, really low, like they'll drop it to $1,000, and then they make it by exactly that margin, and they say that they've had a successful Kickstarter. I find issue with that because when you have a goal of $10,000 and then you drop your goal to $1,000, you haven't really launched a successful Kickstarter. You funded, but you've basically played it safe, and you've kept yourself in a realm where you weren't really going to deal with that much issue.
Yeah.
And you actually went down by half, and it looks like you're going to succeed. Were you originally, was there any point where you felt you needed to go lower than what you're at now?
But there's actually the very important issue because if I actually set a very lower goal, like 1,000 or 2,000, I can actually make lots of cards, so lots of sets. That's an issue because I want to stick with everything made in Japan. So the cardisms, so the card set is of course made in Japan, and then I live in Australia, so I cannot say actually made in Japan, but but all the pictures, these are actually the Japanese artist did it. So I wanted to stick with everything in Japan, and I sent one of them to Billy, but when I actually made only 10 sets, it was quite expensive. Probably in US dollars, one set is about $100. So if I set a lower goal, yeah, that's actually impossible. So I have to stick with at least, this amount I'm currently doing in Kickstarter. Yeah, so otherwise, I have to ask all the backers to pay, yeah, more than that.
How many sets, for your goal of 72, how many sets are you looking at making with that?
I'm thinking of 200 to start, and then hopefully 300. If I add probably 600 US dollars as extra, I could actually add 100 sets. So that's gonna be the the goal.
Oh wow!
This time.
Is there any point where you're going to open maybe an online store where people can continue to buy sets, or maybe add new sets, or add on to the sets, kind of continue with the theme and keep going with it? Or are you just going to, is this Kickstarter stress for you on what you're dealing with?
Yeah, I really want to sell, the rest of the boxes if I actually make 300 or something. But one issue is the postage. it's quite expensive. I didn't recognize. And when I actually checked the Australian website, the Australia Post website, it said $20 to US from Australia. But when I actually went to post office and sent the demo to Billy, it cost $40. So it's about 33 US dollars or something. Yes, it's more than the one set of the Karuta. So that's actually the issue I have to think about if I continue selling. Yeah, so if you actually get the box during the Kickstarter campaign, yeah, it's probably not a bargain, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that I had heard before, I have a couple friends that live in Australia, and what they've told me is when they buy things internationally, if they're going to buy from certain European countries, because apparently that's a lot more expensive depending on where in Europe you are, or from Korea or Japan, what they'll do is they'll have it shipped to the US because shipping to the US is cheaper, and then have someone else ship it to them in Australia, because for some reason when you ship through the US, even though you're shipping twice, you're still paying significantly less than if you were to ship directly to Australia.
Yeah,
is that something you thought about? Or
heard? And when I think about the tax, yes, here is 10%. So I also need to think about this issue as well. Yes, everything is actually quite expensive here right now.
You know what you've got to do is move to the U.S. and start doing the anime expos, because the kids out here. I went to an anime convention. I've been to 3 so far since the beginning of the year, I think. I don't know. I've been to a lot of conventions since January, but we had close to 10,000 anime fans there, and when they go to these conventions, they eat up anything that's Japanese, remotely authentic Japanese, not just the chibi figures or the little knockoff things made in China that are supposed to be Japanese, but the actual anything that can be traced through back to Japan. They almost will pay any price to get a hold of it. But it might be interesting. One of the things to do is see about maybe getting a couple partners in different regions of the world and seeing about doing fulfillment that way.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea. And then, as I say, I'm a teacher, so I haven't done any sort of business before. So I have to learn lots of things. Yeah, that's a yeah.
Yeah, I do. I'm on a lot of the Kickstarter Facebook pages and things, and one of the things that they talk about doing is, if you're going to get manufacturing done and it's going to be expensive, then you have it sent to different locations, and you have each country. If you're going to have backers in England and France, then you have a fulfillment center in Germany do it for you, and they fulfill the European need. And then if you're going to send anything to Asia or back that way, you have someone in the Asian market do it, and then so on and so forth. And for some reason, New Zealand and Australia always get lumped in with South America, and I wonder if that's just location and region. But a lot of people, if they get a high enough Kickstarter, high enough support, they wind up dividing up their fulfillment that way. And it takes a lot of burden off them, so that way they're not sitting there dealing with 4 different types of international shipping, and they can kind of just spread it out and not have to overwhelm themselves.
Yeah, it's probably too far from all over the cities in Australia.
Yeah. It's interesting. I know that a couple of the major game designers that that have launched several successful campaigns will not ship anything to, I think it's Brazil or Argentina. It's a South American country, but the tax on shipping a game internationally is something like 65% of what the game cost. So what they've actually doing, and they're actually changing some of their import laws, where they're certain board games, if the rule book is a certain length, they're going to charge it like a book, and the taxes on books is something like it's less than a percentage. I think it's 0.08% or something on a book. So what they've actually started doing is filling their rule books up with all kinds of artwork, to supplement it so that it reaches a certain amount of pages, so that their import tax, they're actually getting charged on a book instead of getting charged on a game, which is interesting.
When I actually asked the company to send my sample, and it cost more than 1,000 Australian dollars, so it's actually stopped at customs for a long time. And I actually got a letter from customs and have to pay several dollars, and it was quite expensive, like 300 or something. But when I talked with my friend, and she suggested me to use that's all the FTA, all these trading agreement. And because of trading agreement, it used to be like the card game is cost 3% of something, but it's actually all taken over. So they off from the tax and duty. So I didn't need to pay that amount. I just need to pay the tax here in Australia.
Oh, that's pretty decent. Now, for the rules, are the rules going to be the way that they were sent to me, where it's just the pages, or were you going to do anything different with the rules?
Yes, of course. Yeah, so far I haven't finalized all the rules yet, but yes, I'm going to include all the rules, so how to play, and then also all the sound of, and what sort of words you see, and everything. So yeah, it should be different. It might be the box is a little bit bigger than this because I have to put the instruction in the box.
You know what you can do to get around that? If I don't know, you might want to put that on the backers survey, or put out the survey now just on the Facebook page and see who agrees with it. Because I know I know when you post to Facebook, there's a lot of activity that happens, but because you have a lot of fans there. But maybe include the rules just on a PDF with the audio files.
Okay.
Or make them downloadable.
Yeah.
That way you can actually save yourself on having to get them printed or find a way to insert them in the box.
Yeah.
That might be a way to go with it. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think it's possible too. Yeah, because if I ask the company to put the instruction, I have to pay extra, of course. So I need to think about that issue as well. And then in my Kickstarter campaign, I actually made a video of the how to play competitive card game. So it actually takes about 10 minutes, so it might be long, but yeah, you can actually learn that. Learn how to play from the video as well.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I don't know how the other backers would feel about it, but I don't know. I think a PDF downloader might be the way to go. It would save you a significant amount on any potential weight that would be added to the boxes, just because the size would have to be increased. It also would keep you from having to add that extra or design that extra component, just because I know that sometimes you have a rule set written and then you want to make it match your theme so much that you have to start designing it, and you add a whole other aspect to the overall game creation itself. So I don't know.
Yeah, and if I actually put lots of information, the letters might be very small, so it's hard to read. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. That might be one solution. I don't know how you feel about it, but I would think that a lot of people would appreciate that, just because it would overall make the campaign that much more successful, not having to add that extra cost. Especially since the manufacturer may change the price on you if the box increases in size or mass.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, so far I haven't got anything. I haven't had anything from the over prices or something like this for the boxes. The staff at the company said he's going to stick with the same size, same price. Even I asked him to make a slightly bigger box. Yeah, so I think it's not an issue. Yeah.
That's a cool deal. I know a lot of people are going to ask, and I know you had kind of briefly answered this before. You were trying to keep everything as directly Japanese as possible, but I know a lot of people are going to say this, and I might as well just ask it. Has the thought of ever getting any of this manufactured in China ever crossed your mind? And I know that China is one of the go-to places for a wide variety of things, and the quality varies depending on where you manufacture it or who manufactures it for you. But has that ever been something that came into play, or potentially came into play?
Yeah, to reduce the price, yeah, I definitely thought about that. And but the company I'm going to ask, which name is Oishi Tengudo, it's located in Kyoto, and they know everything about competitive card game. So it's quite easy for me to, like, ask everything. If I say, can you make this style and that style, they already know everything. So I don't have to explain anything. So like, the box they made, they already created the box. So I just ask them to make the same one or similar type, and they say, oh, it's easy. And then I actually, someone suggested me to ask companies in Melbourne. And so I asked several companies in Melbourne to make this Karuta card. They said no, because the paper quality is totally different. They can actually make the thicker ones. So, and they also asked some Japanese companies, but they also said no to me because they don't actually get this type of paper. It's actually thick. It's quite thick, and then the company, so Oishi Tengudo said, you actually need to put two pieces of paper together, so stick together with a very strong glue. So if you actually take a closer look at the card from the side, you see line. So it's actually cards stuck together.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people imagine that this is just a thick cardboard, but it's actually not. It actually is two pieces that have been put together, which is how Karuta is made. It's you take the image and it literally gets attached to the backing. It's not, you're not just putting it through a printing machine and printing out one side then the other and cutting it out that way. And if you put this through a paper cutter, even an industrial one, I imagine it would not last that long because it's a very thick cardstock. And it's extremely surprising how durable they are. And this game does put a lot of wear on them. So yeah,
and even the real card, this one, and my card is actually the same size and the same way to make. So the company used exactly the same paper to make this one. So if people love the Chihaya Furu, the comic book I showed you, so it's definitely the one they wanted. So exactly the same style. So that's very important.
Yeah, so well, that answers the China question, guys. I know a lot of people always, the first thing that game developers, at least in the United States that I talk to or that I see, the first thing that they latch onto when they want to come up with a game is a lot of them try to jump to China immediately. And oftentimes, if you don't already have a connection in China, or you're not, literally you have to speak the regional dialect of wherever the factory is that you're getting things manufactured, you're going to run into a lot of problems. Because number one, they don't speak English and they don't care to, because you're going to them, so that you need them more than they need you. And once they've shipped everything, if you don't have a way to communicate properly or to physically get your presence there in the country, what you get is going to be what you get. Now, this isn't true across the board. There's a lot of high-quality products that come out of China for gaming components especially. But if you're not looking correctly, or you're just trying to find a way to manufacture large quantities of a game as cheaply as possible to maximize your profit, you can wind up shooting yourself in the foot, because you're going to suffer in quality, or you're going to wind up with something completely wrong and wind up having to spend more money to fix the mistake or refund your backers because you've screwed them. So it's actually How long did you work on this? Because every time I ask you a question, you have a very detailed answer as to the amount of work that you put into it. So how long has this been a project?
The start was about 2.5 years ago. So as I said before, this one is actually the start. So I found this one is about 2.5 years ago. And then I start thinking of, oh, I could do it. And then I did some trials with the different cars, different words. And then, so first of all, as you see there are 2 words on each card, but my start was different, only 1 word. But I thought that was too easy. And then I couldn't actually put all the interest part of the real competitive card game. So I have to put all the elements in it. So it took more than 1 year to think about it. Yeah, it's a quite long process. And then finally, it seems like finally I came here. Yeah, but still a long way because I haven't successfully finished the Kickstarter yet.
So in the time most people could have had 2 children, you've been working on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's still quite a bit of time left on the Kickstarter, so I can imagine this will succeed very well. I had a question I was going to ask you, and I completely forgot about it. Okay. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Can you break down the overall meaning of the entire name of the game? Because it's not just Karuta, it's actually
Hiragana Asobi Karuta.
Asobi. Yeah.
Yeah. Hiragana means Hiragana is one of the Japanese characters. So there are 3 different types of characters Japanese people use. One is called Hiragana, another one is katakana, the other kanji. So there are 3 characters used in Japanese. So Hiragana is probably one of the easiest to learn and write. And katakana is not so hard, but yeah, it's like Hiragana. And kanji is, katakana sample is probably I can show you. You can actually see katakana as well in the Hiragana Asobi Karuta. I named Hiragana, but there are lots of kanji. So when you actually get the box, you might say, oh, it's not just Hiragana. Katakana is something like this. And another simple character type. And in kanji, all this is actually said Tokyo, but these letters originally came from China, old-time China. So Japanese people actually use these 3 types of characters. And then the reason why I put Hiragana is when the Japanese learners start learning Japanese, they focus on Hiragana first. So that's why I put Hiragana letters here. Because if I put kanji as a main focus, it's going to be more than 3,000 characters. So you can actually put everything in the one game. So that's why I put Hiragana as a basic game. And asobi means playing. So I wanted to choose a kind of playing card. So that's why I put playing here as well. But once you start playing the game, it's not actually playing. It's like a sport. It's like a very serious game, as you mentioned before. So it might be, it's still like contained playing, but it's like more than that, actually.
So the game can literally be translated to wordplay.
Yeah, that's right.
Literally, basically.
Word playing cards or something like this.
Yeah. That must have taken you quite a bit of time to come up with, though. Now,
I wanted to name Kyogi Karuta, Hiragana Kyogi Karuta, but Kyogi Karuta itself has a already well-known game. So I asked the All Japan Karuta Association if I can use Kyogi Karuta in my game, they said, nah, it's not good actually. So I have to choose different names.
Oh, well, you're going to be showing the game to foreign people.
Yeah, because they're trying to spread Kyogi Karuta all over the world. There are lots of players in Brazil, France, and other European countries as well. So if I actually put Kyogi Karuta in my game, it's quite confusing. So that's why I stopped using it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't want to distract their work. And of course, I really appreciate their hard work. And then they also, I actually got the permission from the rules of using the rules in my game from the All Japan Karuta Association. So hopefully, the people play with my game first, and then as the next step, they're going to play, real competitive Karuta. So that's sort of my dream.
That's quite admirable. That's kind of fun. It'll be the opposite of what I did, where I went and wound up getting the preschool version just to get a look at as authentic as I could. Now, one of the things I have been asked about periodically is the logo you designed for the cover of the box. How did that come about? And you want to talk to us a little bit about what he is? I'm assuming
you're talking about this one.
This guy,
the character.
That guy.
Yeah, that's there's lots of this type of characters in Japan. They are called yurukara. Yurukara is it's hard to translate. It's more like cute character, but you actually put some ideas like cute but silly, cute but weird, something like this. So I asked Toshi to make one of the characters a character for my game, and it's called Karutaro. So he's actually a card. He is a card shapes, and then this looks like here is a letter K. And he's wearing hakama. It's like a skirt when you wear kimono. So lots of Kyogi Karuta players wear hakama when they play Karuta. So that's the idea. And Karutaro is actually mixed with Karuta and then Taro. Taro is a traditional, typical Japanese boy's name. It's a bit old-fashioned now, but so I put Karuta and Taro together, so it's named Karutaro.
Okay. I don't know why I thought you were going to... I thought it was going to be just something you guys threw together, but no, there's a lot of thought that went into that.
But if you actually type Yurukara on any search engine, you're going to find out lots of quite similar characters in Japan.
Yeah. Okay.
Most of them are actually mascots. So hopefully this Karutaro is going to be a mascot in the future.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, he already
I'm gonna ask you to put wear him and walk around in California
and show him off. Yeah. Actually, I was going to ask you. Message me all the links for all the companies and the artists and anyone else you would like to have their information shared with. That way we can kind of give them a little bit of a share too. And then one of the other things was your pledge levels, and I wanted to just kind of find out what the thought process was behind. You've got quite a few, you've got a little bit of a variety of pledge levels, and a little bit more variety than you oftentimes get offered with Kickstarter. What was the thought behind your pledge levels, and how did you decide when to stop? When you felt you had reached enough?
At first, I thought there are lots of teachers going to pledge my campaign. So that's why I just put lots of different types of pledge options. So my basic one is $40 one. So I'm not quite sure how much that's in US, but it's going to be the basic ones. So what's going to get is you're going to get one set of Karuta and its audio files. So that's the basic one. So it's an 40 Australian dollars, by the way. And there is also an early bird version, so it's slightly cheaper. So including free shipping. So it's all over the world. And in all the others are basically so for the teachers, so teaching Japanese or want to get, so learning Japanese and then buy, get set for a friend or family, something like this. So all the high pledges are basically for the teachers. So that's why you actually see 200 or 300 ones and instead of 5 or something. But if you get if you actually pledge higher, you get more discount generally.
And if you guys listen to our discussion about the shipping and the other costs involved, you realize how much of a deal you're actually getting with this Kickstarter, because as he mentioned, the shipping is not going to be cheap, and getting it made is not going to be cheap. So
so only this time you actually get the cheaper price with free shipping. Otherwise I have to add shipping cost, so it's gonna be like double or something like this.
Have you taken any kind of just a look as to where your backers are, where the bulk of your backers are at?
So far half of them are Australian, and some of them
just jump on a bike and deliver those on your own.
It's more like I have a network of teachers, so I send email to the teachers and also teachers' Facebook page. So they are the ones who backed my project, and then most of them are the previous backers. So I also use my previous Kickstarter's page, and the good thing is I can still update whatever I want. So and then they all sent to the my previous backers' email. So they actually get my email and update, and then they came back to me. Yeah,
that's great. So yeah, I mean, guys, this is an incredible deal that we're being offered right now with this. Are you going to offer, when this finally succeeds and the Kickstarter campaign is ended, are you going to allow for people to up their pledges if they want to after the fact, after the campaign is ended? Is that going to be an option?
So. I think after, I'm not quite sure how to use the Kickstarter, by the way, but I'm going to put the link, and then I hope I'm going to, it's going to be accessible from any time after the Kickstarter campaign. Yeah, but the most important thing is, as you know, is that this time's Kickstarter will have to be successful. Yeah, otherwise, there's nothing happens. I cannot actually move to the next step. So, yeah.
Well, I'm pretty confident that it will succeed. I mean, you just watching the way that it grew over the first couple of weeks, especially, it's culminated quite quickly. And I know you're very active when you do updates, and they're very meaningful updates. I know a lot of this is for a lot of you Kickstarter guys that are thinking about starting a campaign. Don't make an update just for making an update. Make it meaningful. Give your backers something to bite onto and to read, something they want to look forward to getting. Don't just throw an update up there that says, "Mailman showed up at my house, then he left," because it's not a meaningful update if you're just throwing out emails. But your updates have been very meaningful and well thought out, and when I get them, I always enjoy reading them. So it's always fun.
Thanks.
You're always engaging, especially on your Kickstarter page. Whenever anyone comments, you're always engaging and showing people that you're not just interested in their backing you financially. You're actually interested in talking to them, and you're enjoying the feedback.
Yeah, because now probably I'm a teacher, that's why, but I really want to, talk in person. That's very important, yeah, because if someone says something to me, yes, I just need to respond. Yeah, I think that's a very, useful way to communicate with my backers. And then, yeah, and I want to actually know more about my backers, how they actually get interest in my game, something like this. So yeah, I actually enjoy myself, communicating with my backers.
So, yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna have a successful campaign, and I think I'm out of meaningful questions for you. But I think it's been great talking to you and getting to learn more about the Kickstarter and the process that you took to create it. And thank you for giving us some of the history of the game and the genesis for how it came about and the steps that you've taken to create it and bring it to us on Kickstarter and making it available for us to discover and hopefully get a chance to get a hold of it and play it and wear the cards out.
Yeah, thank you very much, Billy. Thank you for having me. And I think one last thing I can actually mention is probably this one is also like a display, like very authentic Japanese card game. So even you don't play, you can put it on at a display, and then probably you can show off how much you have, Japanese, how much you actually have the Japanese thing or something like this.
That's true, and that's actually very big in the United States right now. Is anything Japanese gets a lot of attention, and there's actually I like to call them little nerd battles when we go to conventions and things, because someone will mention some kind of obscure thing about Japan that they knew about before it became popular, and all of a sudden there's this little competition over how to pronounce it correctly, or who discovered it first, and who brought it to the U.S., or who the original creator was in Japan. And it's these fun little things that happen with the community out here. Is who's the most knowledgeable in Japan in anything Japanese over the other person. So it turned into these little ego fights.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to do this.
Yeah, it's also card collections. Yeah. Like, when I was kids, I love having baseball players' cards. Yeah, and then once actually my father went to California and then for work, and then he actually brought some baseball cards for me. Yeah, that was my treasure.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Whenever anyone I know goes to Japan, I'm always, bring me candy.
Yeah.
But
so I think it's quite similar. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and I really appreciate getting to know you better and getting to talk to you about this wonderful game that you've created.
Yeah, thank you very much, Billy, and thank you very much, everyone. I hope my campaign is going to be successful this time, and then if I can send all the cards to you and then give including happiness, that'd be great. Yeah, thank you very much.
No problem. I look forward to seeing the campaign end successfully and watching the pledge manager go up. So thank you very much again, and thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching the video, and happy gaming, and may the dice always roll in your favor. I'm Will Salas, and this was Kaz Ueno. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, that's correct.
And I'll put some links up to the Kickstarter, guys. Thank you very much.
犬椅子あいうえおのい